Okay, friends, I'm way overdue for an episode and give you a little insight as to where I'm at. I just finished my swim and walking to the parking lot from the pool. There's a little guy running, going, "It's 6, it's 6, it's 6, it's 6." And it took me a second to realize what it was that he was saying. And then I realized he was saying, "It's 6." And just thought, oh my goodness, how many times have you done that where you're running late to somewhere and you're like, oh my God, it's 6 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock. Then it must be hockey practice or something happening because there's some sort of mid-teen aged boys also around, and a couple of them are jazzing out behind me. So if you hear some background music, I have no mic, I have no headphones, but I had to get an episode out. So little catch up on the experiment. Dang, I think it's been 3 or 4 weeks since I've sat down with all of you. My trust, surrender, and radical self-love experiment is still going strong. Now, I will say that it's not something that I'm like every day going, okay, how can I trust more? How can I surrender more? How can I practice radical self-love more? But it's in the small moments. So today's going to be a little scattered, but bear with me. One of the things that I realized when I thought about this radical self-love, this concept of radical self-love, and how do we actually teach ourselves to do it? And at the same time, looking at this life that I want to create and this version of myself that I want to embody, again, how do I do it? How do I day by day be that person that I want to be? And what I started to realize is that it's the small things. It's not the big things. We get so sold on the big things. The big things are what makes those epic sweeping moments in movies that bring us to tears. They're what make previews really stand out. They're those punchlines in the story that gets you just right in the feels. But it's not actually the big things that make the difference. It's the small things. And that might seem obvious, or it may not seem obvious. Maybe you're like, Amy, you're crazy. It can't just be the small things. But it is. And so what do those small things look like? Well, some of those small things look like when I go to the pool, I used to be really ashamed and afraid to show my body in any way, whether I was wearing a swimsuit or not. In the change room, I'd hide in the change room. I'd feel really self-conscious about trying to change in public. I'd hide under a towel, whatever. But at the same time that I started swimming, I was already starting to practice this concept of radical self-love. And in order for me to really embody that and what that looks like, it means that I need to embody that at all levels. So a small thing is that I started to just practice being okay with changing in the change room. And being fully aware and just allowing the thoughts and the feelings to pass, knowing there are people around, knowing that there are people, like that women are walking around and someone might look at me like, if we start to remember that like everybody's so focused on their own life, they're really not concerned about you, it actually helps practice this. And so every time I would see that, I would think to myself, they might be thinking, oh my God, what the hell is she doing? Like, she should not be just getting, naked and changing into her bathing suit in the middle of a space. She does not have the body for that, or who does she think she is, or whatever. But at the same time, I'd also say, what if, this is super powerful, what if that woman who just glanced at me instead thought to herself, I wish I could be that confident? What if that's what they're thinking? We default to the negative, right? It's so much easier to focus on the negative than it is to focus on the positive. It's so much more work to focus on the positive. One of the things that I find exhausting in social settings is people's propensity to have to focus on the negative. What's going wrong in the world? What are all the things that are going sideways? What are our politicians doing that they can't be doing right? Like if you listen to any conversation, you'd think that literally the world is going to hell in a handbasket. But newsflash, in my 37, almost 38 years on Earth, it's always been going to hell in a handbasket. So at some point I just realized you know what? It's actually not that bad. And it's my choice whether I want to focus on all the things that are going wrong, or do I want to focus on what's good? Do I want to actually focus the conversation on what are the good things that are happening in the world? And moreover, I'm not naive and blind to the fact that there are big issues in the world. But instead of just talking about them and commiserating and being like, woe is us, we can't do anything to change it, I want the conversation to be, here's the issue. How could we change it? What small action can I, Amy, or you, Jen, or you, whatever your name is, what action could you take to make that a little bit better? That's my focus. So my friends have come to learn that if they start getting in that negative track, they know that I'm going to actually change the topic. And they know that after a point, I actually start tuning out. And if it continues, I actually set this ground rule with, I have a really, really great friend, and her and my boyfriend can just talk politics and the doomsday all day long. And it doesn't affect them so much. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, why don't we all just jump off a steep cliff right now? So I finally set the ground rule that if that was the way the conversation was going to go when the three of us were going to be together, that's fine. But I'm actually leaving because I don't need to subject myself to that. I know how powerful that energy is on me. And so I understand that I need to set a boundary for myself. These are small things. That was a big one, but it went over, they totally got it and respected the fact that I was willing to say it, right? When we look at the small things, so moving back to the concept of radical self-love, it seems for some of you, women in particular, maybe men as well, if you're listening, the idea of showering naked in a public change room might be terrifying. I know it used to be for me. And when I come home from the pool and I share my wins with my guy, I have usually 2 wins. The first one being whatever amount of laps I did and however much time I did it in. The second one being I showered naked and I felt totally fine about it. And I feel amazing about the fact that I felt totally fine about it. That is actually, it's a lot of deep inner work that has to happen in order for that to be okay for me. But it was practice, right? It was this, again, the small things, the small moments where you're looking in the mirror and instead of, skimming over the parts of you that you like and then not looking, or if you look further down to the parts of you that you don't like, then, thinking about all the things that you don't like. I wish I could just lose weight. Man, I wish my stomach was flat. I wish my butt wasn't so big. I wish my boobs were bigger. I wish whatever. Instead of engaging in that, practicing, maybe radical self-love isn't, oh my God, my body's amazing and it's beautiful and it's healthy and I love it so much and blah, blah, blah. Maybe radical self-love is, I see you. And yes, there are things that I would like to change, but I appreciate you. When I start focusing differently and looking at my body and going, you know what? Yes, I would like to lose a little bit of weight just because a whole bunch of things. We don't need to go into it. But yes, I would like to lose a little bit of weight. But instead of looking at myself in the mirror going, fuck, man, I really need to lose some weight and I wish I hadn't eaten those chips or I wish I had gone for a run or whatever. Instead, I now look in the mirror and I have to actively practice this. These are the small moments. I have to actively practice and look in the mirror and say, I appreciate how capable my body is. Thank you, body, for being so capable. There are many women my age, women who are even younger, women who might be older, who aren't as physically capable as I am. And I'm not talking about folks who may have disabilities or anything. I'm talking about your typical, average, healthy person, right? My body can do amazing things. I just finished a swim. I started swimming and started doing 14 laps. I think it's 28 laps. I don't know. Back and forth across the pool. That's not a small thing, right? It's not easy. And I drag my ass the first while, and sometimes I drag my ass still. But that's an amazing thing that my body can do it. I started back into running a few months ago. Again, my body is capable of doing that. How amazing is it that my body doesn't get hung up where I get hung up of, oh my God, I weigh this much. oh my God, I wish I weighed less. Oh my God, my stomach isn't flat enough. If our bodies responded in the way that we respond to our bodies, we'd go absolutely nowhere. So it's the small things. Same thing when it comes to the trust and the surrender, right? I got stuck in these epic sweeping moments of like, oh my God, how do I practice trust and surrender in these big moments? Well, the same way that I would do anything, I'd start with the small things, right? If you think about really anything that you learned, but let's say, for example, let's talk about work. When you first started, nobody, I don't care who you are and how you were raised, nobody began life as a CEO. Not one damn person on this planet. Some people get there sooner. Some people never get there at all. But everybody has to build to get there. Nobody starts as a CEO, right? Like they have to practice things. Maybe, some people might like to brag like, oh, my first job was CEO. Maybe. But think about all the things that you did building those skills on the way there. Those are the small things, right? When you see people who are super in shape, they don't just arrive one day at super in shape. They have to do all the things. They have to go to the gym. They have to do their workouts. They have to eat the healthy foods. They have to make good decisions. These are all tiny things that build up into this result. So when I think about, how the hell am I going to become the embodied version of myself? If I think about the Millionaire Me, how the fuck do I become and practice embodying the Millionaire Me? And I've heard this concept so many times of just, practice it, apply it in your day-to-day life. Like, how would you approach life if you were a millionaire? And I'm just like, well, I'd pay all my bills and I probably wouldn't be stressed about getting groceries. Okay, cool. Well, that's probably true. But that's where I get stuck. And then I started to realize, this year I've really started to realize is, okay, in order to be a millionaire, I actually need to think and respond differently in all situations. So, yes, all these things with like bills and buying groceries and like all the things that are like the tangible monetary things, absolutely those would be easier, right? Like that goes without saying. If we shelve those for a second and we actually look at, here's a small thing, you just remember, oh, I got paid today. What is your initial reaction? As a millionaire, probably your initial reaction will be like, cool. Thank you for that. Right? But when we're sitting in this energy of lack and this just like seeing the reality where we're not in the place that we want to be, we get that paycheck and go, oh my God, thank God I finally got paid. Now I'm going to have to like send all that money to pay all these bills and I'm still behind. Totally different mindsets. The millionaire looks at that and just goes, hey, cool. I appreciate that coming into my account. Thanks so much for that arriving. Just, it's not a big deal. They're not making a giant show out of it. They're just grateful for it. And it doesn't have any of that energy of lack and stress behind it. I am practicing that literally when it comes to my paydays. So one of the things that I started doing about maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, I can't remember exactly, what I used to do, my money would hit my account, whether it was from my business, from clients, whether it was from paychecks when I had jobs, and immediately I would spend it. And I shouldn't say spend it. It wasn't like I was out shopping, but it would be gone. Bills paid, credit card paid, whatever, money set aside for groceries, like whatever it was, it would be distributed out almost as fast as it came into my account. But that left me feeling really low energy and was always really defeating, right? Like every time, like, fuck, okay, like I just got paid. It's another 2 weeks or whatever before I get paid again. And I have no fucking money already. Like, how did that happen? So what I started doing is I implemented a 48-hour hold. Didn't call the bank to do anything about it. This is the boundary I set. I said, anytime money arrives in my account, it sits in my account for 48 hours before I touch it and move it around. I needed to practice being okay with it just sitting and resting with me. And at first, that was really fucking hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would be like, oh my God, I need to pay this bill. But I told myself it's gonna be 48 hours. And like, I just got paid yesterday. So, technically 48 hours is tomorrow. And like, I would be on it like that. Now, I will say I have, on very rare occasions, pushed the boundary a bit and paid, for example, my credit card a little bit early if I'm trying to catch a payment before like my next billing statement, for example, right? There are occasions where I'll do that, but 99% of the time, I hold to that 48 hours. Here's the cool thing. Now, I'm not making any more money today than I was a year ago, but I got paid on Friday. And today, which is Tuesday, I remembered, oh yeah, I got paid on Friday. I'm supposed to move some money around. I should probably do that. So different. I'm not panicking about it. I'm not going, holy shit, like, our energy bill is due, and oh my God, I got to put my payment in for the credit card, and oh my God, I got to I'm not thinking about any of those things. I literally forgot about it. I remembered on Saturday, I think, oh yeah, I got paid yesterday. Cool. Thanks for that. That was it. Now, all of a sudden, my whole approach is beginning to change. I'm not looking at this like, oh, I just want this to show up. It's a very different energy behind it. The last thing that I want to talk about is wins. And here's why. Side note, I'm sitting in my car. It is 32 degrees in Calgary today. It's fucking hot in here, y'all. So I am sweating buckets. Good thing it was just at the pool. Anyway, so let's talk about wins. I lead a team at my work. My team is I currently have a team of 6, all women, which is a very cool and unique opportunity for me. I'm very excited about it. I had a very interesting meeting with one of my reports today where I asked them, so at the end of every day, we use Slack as a communication tool at work. At the end of everybody's day, the expectation is that your final post of the day includes your win of the day, something you learned about our customers, and something that you failed at or could improve upon. So what I noticed was that this person, often their win was survived, made it through the day, survived. So I saw this pop up again yesterday, and I knew I had a meeting with them today. So I put that in part of our notes for the day to talk about. So I said, I want to ask you about this. Are you struggling at work? Are you not enjoying it? Is it tough? Tell me about your day. Like, if survived is a win, that's a cause for concern for me. So what do we need to address together so that your win can be something more empowering than survived? And what I found out was jaw-dropping to me, but to you it might not be. What my person said to me was that she didn't want to be all braggy. She felt really uncomfortable, like bragging about, whatever the win was for the day. So she's like, I just go, well, I made it through the day. I'm like, that's very interesting. So I said to her, I'm like, what if you owned your win fully and that actually inspires and empowers the rest of your team? Mind-blowing emoji. She's like, I hadn't thought about that. So I told her about something that I had done last week, which I can't give enough context to give the example around, but effectively, I asked a question, and I left my name on the question because we had to submit it through electronically, to the directors of our company. It was a question about compensation. So money is a touchy subject, but I crafted the question well, and I think there were 6 directors on the panel at the time, sat up and took notice, like, damn, this is a challenging question. And all of them said, thank you for putting your name on it, because we actually really appreciate when people say who they are versus just submitting it anonymously. Two of the reports on my team saw this. The rest of my team, we talked about it today. And they're like, wow, Amy's got some real boss moves. At the end of the day, so not all of my team had said it, but at the end of the day, that was my win for that day. I asked a question in this, whatever, and it not only was upvoted and was the very first question that was asked, passed, I added my name to it and was recognized for doing so by the directors. These were our senior most leads within our company. That was an enormous win for me. I had one more win that day that left me walking out the door feeling absolutely fucking 10 feet tall. Like I could accomplish anything. I was so friggin' excited about how my day had gone. It was like just effusing with enthusiasm when I talked to my guy that evening. Like even now, like it just lights me up. It just made me feel amazing. So I said to my report today, I said, I could have buried that. I could totally have just not said anything about it. I could have just let it be like, whatever, so I asked a question, no big deal. But instead, by owning the win, by doing the thing that's scary and then owning it and telling my team about it, now maybe they'll be inspired to do big, scary things too, right? It's really hard, especially as leads. It's really hard to lead a team of people if you're not willing to do big risks and ask them to take big swings. This is really hard. It's also, you're going to lose the respect and the trust of the people who report into you if you lead a team, just a heads up. But this is true whether it's for your friends, whether it's your family, maybe you have kids, right? People are paying attention to how you move and operate in the world. What are the things you're focusing on? Do you get stuck in the negative things? Are you like that little guy I talked about at the beginning where you're just constantly running like, oh my God, it's 6, right? Is that you? Or are you showing up and being like, fucking nailed it today. Let me tell you about this big thing that I did today, which may not be a big thing to the people around you. And we need to practice that being okay. I have learned, bless my guy, he's so good. I have learned that when I have something really big that may not seem big to him, I need to preface my telling him the big thing with, hey babe, this was a huge deal for me today. I just want you to know, I'm going to tell you what it was, but I want you to know this was a big deal and I really want you to celebrate with me. I used to not do that. I used to be sold into this idea, of the movies where like, they should just know, like, why can't he just see that it's a big deal for me? Fuck that shit. Like, tell them. Help people help you celebrate. Tell them ahead of time. This was a big fucking deal. I just want you to know that. Now I'm going to tell you what the thing is. So that they can celebrate that big thing, right? And they'll be encouraged by you taking big swings. I guarantee you that all 6 people on my team, who, as I mentioned, are all women, they're all paying attention. They're watching what I'm doing. And I am a believer in leading from the front. Like I said before, if I'm not willing to take big risks and take big swings, I can't ask them to do it either, right? It's really unfair to have someone that is supposed to be leading you say, you need to do this big, scary thing, but I'm not willing to do them, right? So it's the small things. That's what we're going to end it off there. We are at about 23 minutes. I'm at probably about 23 buckets of sweat. Very warm. I'm going to turn the car on and hit the AC so I might cool down a little bit. But I would love to hear from you. If you're listening to the podcast, first of all, hi, and thank you for listening to the podcast. I would love to hear from you. What are little things that you're practicing right now that are helping you move toward the big thing that you want to accomplish? Whether it's practicing those moments of radical self-love or of trust or surrender or of embodying the version of you that you want to be. Maybe you're doing small things where you're like, Amy, today I chose salad instead of chips. I don't know, like whatever it is. I would love to hear what your wins are. What are those small things that you're working on? Hit me up on the Instagrams at I Dare to Begin. All one word, all letters. Tell me in the DMs. I'd love to hear from you. With that, I'm going to end the podcast with one tiny little snippet. I have something new coming. I've been working on it for a few months. I'm very excited about it. I am practicing being brave. It's scary to me about putting it out there. So very likely on the next episode or in the next 1 or 2 episodes, bearing in mind, of course, that I may not be recording again in another 2 or 3 weeks. But I will share what the big thing is, but pay attention if you are on Instagram, that's where I'm going to share it. It's the only place that I really exist in any kind of like the social network realm. So if you want to see ahead of time, check it out there. But that's coming very soon. I'm just putting my brave pants on, right? I'm practicing those big swings. It's been a pleasure talking with you. I'll talk with you soon. Bye.